Hi there. I am Bo Armistead, and I'm a licensed professional counselor in Birmingham, Alabama. And I appreciate you being here. Thanks for stopping by and checking out this video. If you like this sort of thing, you can hit subscribe and get the notification little bell thing that'll let you know when I post more videos, and you can keep up with these things. So yeah, thanks for being here. It's June, and June is PTSD Awareness Month. And so today I'm going to talk to you about PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, which I'm guessing most of you watching this know what PTSD stands for, and you may or may not know the causes of and the symptoms of and all that stuff. So that's what we're going to talk about today. So for starters, 70% of people in the United States will experience a traumatic event in their lifetime. 20% of those people will end up developing PTSD as a result of that traumatic event. So what that means is 45 million people roughly in the United States will develop PTSD, and at any given time, 24 million people are currently living with PTSD. So it's a big thing. It's has a big impact in our country and our communities, and right around us with the people that we love. Another thing is that women are twice as likely to develop PTSD as men. So these are some things you may already know or may not have known about PTSD. You know, one thing that a lot of people think about PTSD is that it's a result of combat alone. Like if you're in the military, you experience combat. That's kind of the only cause for PTSD, and that's just not true. Although many people who do experience combat end up developing PTSD, and that does make up a big number of the people living with PTSD. However, there are many other things, traumatic events that can cause a person to develop and end up living with PTSD. A violent crime, either witnessing or being the victim of a violent crime, can be a cause of PTSD. People who work as a first responder, police officers, EMTs, firefighters, search and rescue people who are on the front line with traumatic events on a regular basis can develop PTSD. People who witness or are involved in a serious car accident, or have a serious illness or witness a loved one who goes through a serious illness. People who have experienced losing a loved one, someone who's close to you, and you've lost that person either suddenly or through the course of illness, that can be a cause of PTSD. Natural disasters, people who've lived through tornadoes, hurricanes, floods, wildfires. These things are close encounters with life-threatening traumatic events that can cause PTSD. Someone who's been abused or even witnessed the abuse of someone can be another cause. So there's a lot of things, and PTSD affects adults and children. So it doesn't necessarily matter your age. If you experience a traumatic event, it's going to impact your brain, and it's going to impact how you experience life from that point forward. So some of the symptoms that you might be aware of or may not, re-experiencing an event. So someone who has flashbacks or nightmares, that is a symptom of PTSD. These things aren't by choice. If people could turn these things off, they would. But oftentimes people live with the daily reality of nightmares and flashbacks, a remembrance of the original traumatic event that they have lived through. Avoiding certain places or people that remind you of the traumatic event that you've experienced can be a symptom of PTSD, and that can be like avoiding crowds, avoiding streets, avoiding places that feel similar to when and where and how you experienced a traumatic event. Avoidance is a big part of PTSD. Avoiding thinking about things that remind you of anything related to the trauma is another part of avoidance with PTSD. Reactivity, so intense startle reflexes. If you're easily startled and are very jumpy and on edge, jittery, tense, these things are symptoms, as well as feeling angry, having anger outbursts, or feeling aggravated and irritated a lot, living with insomnia, where your brain just can't shut off to go to sleep because to your brain that feels dangerous to let your guard down and go to sleep. Cognition issues are things like memory, concentration, and focus problems. When your brain is in hyperactive mode due to post-traumatic stress, it has a very hard time concentrating and remembering things. So this is another way someone might experience post-traumatic stress. Negative cognitions about yourself or about life in general. Feeling guilty about something that has happened when the responsibility is not yours at all. A loss of interest in things that used to interest you, activities, time with friends or loved ones. The things that used to bring you joy and used to be sort of life-giving for you are no longer. Those are all things that can be a part of PTSD, as well as just the hypervigilance. And you may have seen some other videos of mine where I talk about hypervigilance in your brain and how your brain is kind of constantly scanning your environment for potential dangers and potential threats. Because once you've experienced a trauma, your brain's going to hold on to that thing because your brain wants to help you be aware of when there's a potential threat out there that may be a threat again. Even though you may never experience that thing again, and hopefully not, your brain wants to keep you aware of your environment just in case. And so that hypervigilance can really be overwhelming and consuming. Something that I like to say, I believe the truth is that PTSD is not the person refusing to let go of the past. It's the past refusing to let go of the person. And that's a very true statement. If people could, and I'm going to have a video probably later on about how to interact with people in your life who are living with PTSD. Something you don't ever want to say to someone is just get over it. It's the past. Move on. If you could do that, you would have done that. It's not a person's choice just to move on when your brain is locked into holding on to a traumatic event. So not something you want to say to anybody. If you're living with PTSD, certainly not something you want to hear. Because if you could choose to move on and get past it, you would have done that by now. It is not the person refusing to let go of the past, but the past refusing to let go of the person. So that's a brief just intro to PTSD. We'll talk more about it later in this month, since this is PTSD Awareness Month. And so if you're living with PTSD, if you know someone who is, I want you to know that there is hope. There is hope for healing. There are therapies out there that absolutely work in helping a brain resolve trauma and move on and not live in the daily reality of the traumatic events of your past. So hold on to that hope, and I'll have more information, more videos coming. I'll post some things here that will point you in the direction of places you might find help. So yeah, thanks for watching. Glad you're here, and I hope you have a great day. All right, I'll see you next time.